Okay, this is this still 2.5? I think it is. Yeah, okay, so still in 2.5. This is the next page. Looks like it's page 83. And I'm going to have you guys work on this today. We'll do some together here. I'll pull some sticks, see if somebody can help me out. Again, we're still using compatible numbers. Hopefully you guys know what compatible numbers are. We're looking for numbers that are easy to divide into one another. Okay, really, that's what we're doing. So I'm going to look at this first one here. It says use compatible numbers to find two estimates here. So let's look at this first one. It's 42 going into 396. Oops, that should be a 6. 396. So really, let's just look at the first two digits. What's 42 close to?
40.
40.
Yeah.
So why don't we call it 40? 396 is close to what?
400.
400. So that's really easy. All right. How many times does 40 go into 400? Well, I've told you guys a few times, and you should have it. You should know by now. Any number times 10, you just add a 0. So if I did 40 times 10, what would that be? 400. So really all I have to do is just do 10 right there. I know it goes in 10 times. And that makes it easy. That's a whole lot easier than trying to figure out, well, how many times 42 goes into 386. And again, these are estimates. They're not exact. They're not precise.
Also, this is just how you do it.
Right. It's just showing you the thinking behind that when you use compatible numbers. Where's my other sheet here? So, so for an answer, and it says 2. So the first one, you could just write down 400 divided by 40 equals 10. So that's 1. Let's see here. Some of these are a little bit not as intuitive as others, not as easy or not as obvious. What would be another compatible number? Not 40. So we could do 440. We could do 360. Right? So how about 360 divided by 40? What's that equal? How many times does 4 go into 36?
9.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's look at this one here. 59 into 413. Well, what would 59 be?
60.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We do 60. And 413 is close to what?
400.
Yeah, 400. But let me ask you something. Does 6 go into 40 evenly? No. What does 6 go into evenly that's close to 40? 42. Okay. So you could write 420 divided by 60. Okay. Those are, again, we're using compatible numbers here.
Could it also be 36?
Yeah, it certainly could. 36 or 360 divided by what? 60 still. Okay, I'll let you figure out what those are. We're trying to make these numbers into something that we could just easily do in our own head. Of course, if you know your times table, it makes the whole process a lot easier. Some of you are still kind of struggling with that. All right, 28. What's 28 close to that we could use? Yeah, I think 30. And so we want to think of it in terms of the first two digits here. Does 3 go into 23? No, but it's close to 24, right? Does 3 go into 24 evenly?
Yes.
How many times?
8.
Yeah. So I could write 230 divided by, no, sorry, 240 divided by,
3.
yeah, thank you, divided by 30. Had a brain fart there. Equals what?
8.
8.
Then the next one.
Well, what else does 3 go into that's close to 23?
21.
Yeah, 21. 210 divided by 30 equals 7, because 3 goes into 21 7 times. 3 times 7 is 21.
This is easy.
Let's do some more together here. So let's see here. I'm just going to write down, instead of 22, I'll put down a 20 here. And let's see here. 368, that's kind of close to 400.
Yeah.
So it could be 400 divided by 20 equals something. And then we could also, what, how about 3, well, you just put 360. 360 divided by 20 equals something. Let's do one for some points here. Mr. Storm.
Wait, is this one or what?
This one here, what do you think? What's this going to be?
80.
Yeah, I think 80.
And this one could be
8 goes into, what's close to 37 that 8 would go into?
40.
Yeah, I think so. So instead of 40, it'd be 400 divided by 80 equals. What else could we use?
Wait. 32.
Yeah. Whoops. 320 divided by 80 equals something. Okay, 10 points. Mr. Clifton, what would you change this into?
90.
Yeah, I think I would use 90. And so you got to think of it in terms of 9 would go into something close to, well, close to 60. Of course, it would help to know your nines and your times tables. And also notice this is in the thousands. So instead of making it in the hundreds like we've been doing, this is going to be 1,000 something. So anyways, back to this, 60. 9 goes, what number does 9 go into that's close to 60? Yeah. And what is that?
63.
Yeah, very good. So 63, and I'm going to put 6,300 or 6,300 divided by 90 equals something. Now, I expect you guys to answer these. I'm just helping you out with the initial. Okay. Mr. Clifton, what's another number that's kind of close to that's 63, that 9 goes into 63, but what's close to 63 that 9 would also go into?
64.
Did you say 54?
64.
No, 9 wouldn't go in evenly to 64. It goes in evenly to 63. What's the next step down from 63? In other words, 63 subtracting 9. You know this goes how many times? How many times does 90 go into 6,300? Do you know that? Let me ask you this. How many times does 9 go into 63? You said it earlier. 7 times. Okay. So the answer to this, instead of 7, it would be 70. Okay. So what number would 9 go into evenly that's close to 63? It's not above 63, but below 63. In other words, what's 9 times 6? Yep, 54. But not 54, it'd be 5,400. Okay? Any of you, raise your hand if you're starting to see the sort of the pattern they're looking for. So just about half of you, more than half. Okay, good. So compatible numbers. We're trying to make it easy on ourselves here. You know, we don't want to have to figure out how many times 19 goes into 228. Why bother with that? Make 19 a 20. And what's close to 228? 220. Or 230. But 230, 20 doesn't go into 230 evenly. There's a remainder. Yeah, 220. So 220 divided by 20. Okay? And it says to estimate. So we don't have to do 2 in these. You only have to do 1. And so you want to figure out a number that there would not be a remainder. Okay?
I think I know.
All right. Let's see here. Let's go down a little further here. Number 19. Let's see here. Miss Nealons, I know you were gone a few days, but let's give it a shot here. I'm going to read number 19. Let me know what you think here. It says a store owner bought a large box of 5,135 paper clips. Wow. I wonder who counted those out. He wants to package the paper clips in 18 smaller boxes. Boy, that'd be tedious. Each box should contain about the same number of paper clips. Well, that makes sense. About how many paper clips should the store owner put into each box? Well, let's set it up first. It's going to look like all the ones we've been doing here. It's going to be 5,135 divided by 18. And it says about how many. So that tells us right there that we don't have to get an exact number. Okay? We don't have to get an exact number. We're just getting an estimate. So, Miss Dealings, what would you do? Yeah, I think I'd just make it a 20, and then what? What is, well, let's see here. What's 513 close to the 20 would go into evenly? Or, what's 5,135 close to the 20 would go into evenly? Do you mean 6,000? Yeah, no, that's going way too high. We could actually just use 5,000. Okay, so I could write 5,000 divided by 20. And I think that would give us a pretty close estimate. And then number 20, it says, explain how you can use compatible numbers to estimate the quotient of 925 divided by 29. So the quotient, that's another name for what? The answer. Okay, just so you guys remember that. Mr. Cowan, what would you write down for an estimate? This one.
Well, first you'd have to write down 29 divided by
mean 925. Whoops. 925 divided by 29. Okay. So what would you change this to?
30.
Yeah. So 30 dividing into what?
We could do 900.
Yeah, 900. I think you're right. Okay. And so they say explain how you can use compatible numbers. And I'm going to let you guys phrase this in your own words, but here's what I would write. Something similar to this. It's much easier to divide 900 by 30 than 925 by 29. And I mean, just something along those lines would be fine. I'm not going to write it down for you, but I'll say it again. It's much easier to divide 900 by 30 than 925 by 29. Okay. Questions on this page? Anybody? No? You guys understand what they're looking for?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see here. What's the next page? Yeah, let me help you guys out with some of these here. They've got 3 tall towers. And looks like the Williams Tower in Texas is 275 meters and it's 64 floors. And the Columbia Center in Washington is 295 meters, 76 floors. And then finally, it looks like the Chrysler building in New York, that's 319 meters and 77 floors. It looks like they're all about the same height. But it says use estimation to decide which building has the tallest floors.
Okay.
About how many meters is each floor? Well, let's see if we can figure that out. Estimation. So it would look like this for each problem. This one, I'm going to write this up here. This is 275 divided by 64. Okay. That's the first one. Miss Dart, what would the second one look like? Right, the other way around though, it's 295 divided by 76. Put up 10 points. Miss Bowman, what would this one be? 319 divided by 77. Good. Okay. Now, estimates, when we make it easy on ourselves, put up 10 points, honey. Mr. Reyes, what would you change this to? I would round it even more. I'd make it 300. So 300 divided by, what do you think?
Divided by 60?
Yeah, that's what I would do. And that'll give you the estimate. How about the next one? What would you make this one, Ms. Reyes?
Make that 80, and then the bigger one into the 300.
Yeah, I think so. 300 divided by 80. Good. The points. Mr. Milmore.
Yep.
What do you think for this last one?
319, you round to 320, and 77, you round to 80.
Take it easy, man.
Nicely done. Okay. So once you do these, and so you can answer for the Williams, Columbia Center, and Chrysler building. Because it says each floor, so there should be 3 answers in here. Okay. Number 22, it says about how many meters tall is each floor of the Chrysler building? Well, this is the Chrysler building. That's 320 divided by 80. 320 divided by 80 equals, and that'll tell you roughly how tall each floor is. Number 23 here. It says explain how you know whether the quotient of 298 divided by 31 is closer to 9 or 10. Well, let me pull another stick here. Mr. Malamed, what would you turn this into so it'd be easy to get an estimate?
300.
Yeah, 300 divided by what?
30.
Yep. And so you could write, because 300 divided by 30 is equal to 10, comma, not 9. Okay, so that would explain why we think it's closer to 10 than 9. The last two, and then we'll end the video here. Eli needs to save $235 to earn money. He plans to mow lawns and charge $21 for each. It says write 2 estimates Eli could use to determine the number of lawns he needs to mow. I'm happy with 1. I'm going to scratch this out, and you can put 1. All right. So what have we got here? We've got 235 being divided by 21. What's one estimate? And I'm only looking for one. Mr. Synod, what do you think we could use?
Change the 21 to 20.
Yeah, I think it'd be 20. Okay.
And the 200 to 300? No.
Could do 300, but I think we could get even closer.
240?
Yeah, 240. I think 240 would work really well. And that'll tell you how many lawns he needs to mow. The last one here, Mr. Rosowski, it says Anik, I guess, if that's how you pronounce it, built a tower of cubes. It was 594 meters tall. The height of each cube was 17 millimeters. About how many cubes did he use? Explain your answer. Well, I'm not going to do that one for you because I've done all the rest. I'll let you guys figure that one out. Okay, but here's the important information. And about, so it's an estimate, how many did he use? Make sure you answer that question. All right, any questions on this before I cut you guys loose? No? Yeah.
Just be sure you're going to put up points.
Oh, yeah.